It's 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the April 23rd Noblesville Common Council meeting to order. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Wiles, could you lead us, please?
Happy to do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Lees, could you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Boyce? Mr. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Jensen?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. O'Connor?
Present.
Mr. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Ms. Wiles?
Here.
Mr. Ayr?
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for the April 9th, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. 7 to 0, one abstention. Approval of agenda.
Mr. President,
Mr. O'Connor.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda by withdrawing ordinances 18-04-19 and 19-04-19, and the rest is submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to withdraw ordinance 18-04-19, ordinance 19-04-19. Do I have a motion to approve we need a vote to amend the agenda. All those in favor, raise your hand. 8 to 0.
President,
Ms. Wiles.
I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor, raise your hand. 8 to 0. Petitions or comments by citizens. I have none. If anybody would like to speak, they could pick a comment card up, get it up here. I do appreciate you all showing up. The meeting is going to be a little short tonight, so, but I appreciate you all being here. Mayor's report to council. The mayor was ill this afternoon and let me know that he would not be here tonight, and you don't have anything, Mr. Cook? Thank you. Council committee reports, Mr. Taylor.
I have two.
Take your time.
I'll try to make it last for a while. First report is from the Noblesville Tree Board. Motorists along Hazeldale Road will notice new foliage on the drive after Noblesville Tree Board recently planted 129 trees along approximately 2-mile stretch south of State Road 32 to Noble Crossing Elementary. This was a partnership with the Noblesville Street Department. The tree board budget's $100,000 a year for tree plantings, and this was a big project for this year. There are 3 different species, black gum, Norway spruce, and celebration maple. Each tree was planted 40 feet apart from the next, so they have plenty of room to grow. And also, the Noblesville Tree Board will be planting a red oak tree at Federal Hill Commons at 3 p.m. on Friday to honor Mayor Ditzler for his years of dedication and service to the city of Noblesville. That's the short one. Downtown District Committee, April 15th, met. Several topics were discussed. Update on alley excavation. Mr. Head stated there is a meeting on April 16th in room A214 for building owners, tenants, residents, and anyone else interested in hearing details about the alley activation. He stated that invitations were hand-delivered to buildings on the north side of Logan Street and on the east side of 9th Street south to Connor Street. Little update on that meeting. That was well attended and well received by the people and the owners that came. So that's good news for our next project on the alley activation. Mr. Thompson, the director of wastewater, was also at our meeting, and he'd like to contact the building owners for permission to map any attributes that might be in each other's basement. He stated that we'd like to create a CIS locations on coal chutes, steam pipes, plumbing, and utilities for reference during alley activation. He also said this would be very helpful when we start doing some re-sidewalk work downtown, so we'll have all the information we need so we won't run into any unexpected problems when we're redoing sidewalks. Update on planters. As you know, we were replacing the planters downtown. Mrs. Wiles and Mrs. Lakes went to Sundown Gardens to look at planters. The street department will order these planters. There is something on the agenda after this about those. There was quite a bit of discussion on what type and what we needed. We decided to go with a cement, 2 different sizes of planters. One reason why they'll hold up and also might keep people from kicking the plastic ones that we have downtown over and having to redo them all the time. So we're not sure exactly what vendor we're going to get at this time. We've got 3 estimates: Sundown Gardens, Aliceville Nursery, and Gatewoods. That will be determined at a later date, but we got that on the agenda tonight because we need to be able to award this bid and get them ordered and hopefully have them in time for summer. I'd like to thank Mr. Bennett, Mr. Peterson, and 2 park employees for surveying downtown to arrive at the number of planters that were needed. I don't know if you've noticed, but the planters have been moved out onto the brick ribbon. We think that's the best place for them. Instead of up against the buildings, it makes more room for pedestrians on our sidewalks. Street light updates. Ms. Johnson stated she has ordered 50 more street lights besides the 30 that are being replaced. She also stated there's been a delay because the manufacturing plant is in Nebraska and they've had severe flooding. But she doesn't think it'll take too long for them to get back up and running. Still working with NDOT on replacing signal poles. They have 2 different poles. They have a standard and a decorative. There was a lot of discussion on which way we wanted to go. Obviously, there's a price that comes with going with decorative. But the committee is kind of leaning toward the decorative for 2 reasons. For one, it's in our standards for the city. We've got some in the city, and it makes no sense to not buy decorative for downtown, something that we're trying to enhance for the future. So that's probably the direction we're going to go.
While you're on that subject, are they going to give any thought to positioning those back a little bit so that they don't continue to get knocked over?
Yes.
Mr. President, they actually have already relocated a couple of the signal poles there at the corner of 10th and Connor. So you'll notice that those are set back, and so we anticipate that they'll do that when they go through this project along Connor Street. And that's anticipated in 20 or 21.
And along that line, they are scheduled to do the poles on Connor Street intersection 8th, 9th, and 10th in 2001. 21, I'm sorry. And if we decide to go to decorative, that's been pushed back a little bit. Hopefully, we can contact the powers to be and get that moved up. And we are also in the process of getting permission maybe to paint all the signal poles downtown that they're not going to replace for a year or so black, so we can start at least finishing a project that we started. Next item was update on Seminary Park. I think most of us know this, but Mr. Bennett stated since the bid came in well over budget again, it was determined by the city attorney and the county administrator for the community development block grant funds that the project needs to be rebid. This will be rebid, is being opened for rebid on May 10th, and there will be a potential special park board meeting to award the bid on May 15th. So hopefully we can still get something done this year. I know that the Downtown District Committee are chomping at the bit to get this project going. It seems like it's taken forever. And then a new item that I brought up was lights on the Riverwalk between Logan and the railroad bridge, pedestrian railroad bridge. I've noticed since they're doing work on the Logan Street Bridge now, that the only lights that were shown any light on this Riverwalk was the 4 that are on the bridge itself. I think that we need to research and install some lights on the Riverwalk. Mr. Bennett brought up a good explanation that we don't normally do trails because it's the dusk of dawn, but considering this one is downtown and we hope to get more activity along the river, I think this is a good time to explore for safety reasons, and we'll see what we come up with. There was some talk, Mr. Bennett brought up a few years ago that he received a quote on lighting silhouettes of the buildings downtown around Christmas. We think that's a good idea, and we're probably going to revisit the opportunity of that program and see what we can come up with. There was also discussion about the Judicial Center. The county has lighting that doesn't match the downtown district design. We'll be working with the county to see if we can't get them to replace these in black, or maybe work with them in the city for cost share, and then hopefully we can get them to match Federal Hill Commons, which is in the district. We're trying to get everything done, but it just takes a while. Public safety building sidewalk replacement. Mrs. Johnson stated the design for the sidewalk is complete. She's working with the engineer department and the facilities manager, David Dale, to see if we can get bids for that and get that done this summer. The design is complete. The design is a concrete square with a diamond-shaped insert made of H star brick. And we will also be looking at that for the city building as well. Banners, placements, flower pots on street lights. This was brought up for a couple reasons. You know, we did the master plan, and the master plan suggests we put banners and flower pots on different poles, not to overload the poles. So we want to make sure that's followed from the master plan. And so Mrs. Reed is working with several departments and have worked together to create a GIS map of exactly what pole will get what. So when the banners come, people understand which ones are going on, which ones they won't. And we also are working on getting standards for our banners so they're all the same. Mrs. Reed is working on that, and we hope to have some kind of agreement by the 1st of July. Mr. Peterson suggested working with Main Street to contact groups, so we'll be reaching out to them. And then also, which happened to come out this evening, Mrs. Watts and myself were contacted by Sadie Hunter with the Current to do a story on downtown district committee of what we're trying to do for downtown. That was in the Current tonight. If you get a chance, read it. I think she did a really good job, and hopefully the public will read it and realize what we're trying to do for downtown and keep it as vibrant for the future as we can. And last, Mr. Cook stated parking lot number 3 where the Levison will be located will close on May 6th. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And you wonder why you were put on so many committees? Because you give such a great report. Any other committee reports?
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles?
I have the Finance Committee report. The Finance Committee met on April 18th, and main topic of discussion was the 2018 CAFR audit, which is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. The State Board of Accounts auditors have arrived. They actually arrived on April 15th. Interesting that the auditors showed up on tax day. But they have begun that audit, and we actually had our opening conference with them earlier today, and they are working with our outside accountants, O.W. Cronin Associates, and we're hoping to have that all put together and completed for the CAFR by June 30th. There are no fiscal items really on the agenda tonight, so nothing was discussed. We talked a little bit about the appropriation from the Downtown District Committee, but that's money that's already been set aside into that fund, and then it will just be reallocated to the Street Department. And the claims come to you with the approval of the Finance Committee.
Ms. Wiles? I don't any other committee reports? I don't necessarily have a committee report, but I would like to recognize and congratulate our city clerk, Ms. Evelyn Lees, CMC. And CMC stands that she has earned the designation of Certified Municipal Clerk. And it's awarded by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. She had to complete several classes and different events in order to obtain that, and she has done that. I want to congratulate her on that. And With that, we have the approval of claims.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the claims. All those in favor, raise your hand. 8-0. One agenda item, transfers. Transfer number 1, council to consider transfer TA-05-19, an appropriation transfer in the Downtown Development Fund to fund the purchase of sidewalk planters. Mr. Steve Cook.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Filling in tonight for Mr. Spalding, who was not able to be here. As Mr. Taylor indicated from the downtown meeting that took place on April 15th, there was a recommendation made in that committee to the mayor and to the council to appropriate up to $65,000 to the downtown fund so that we could purchase the planters. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Have any questions of Mr. Cook?
Mr. President,
Wiles?
actually, I'm going to make a clarification. It's just a transfer out of the downtown district fund to the street department
Correct.
so that they can then go and purchase. This is not a new allocation. This is money that's already set aside annually to the downtown district fund.
Mr. President, if I could clarify that just a little bit further.
Even more so?
It's not coming out of the downtown district.
Thank you.
The Downtown Development Fund. It is a transfer from a contingency into the street department budget, so it stays there.
This is why we depend on Mr. Spalding for quite a lot.
With that, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have to read it out? Would you prefer that we read it out? Mr. President, I would make a motion that the council approves transfer number TA-05-19, an appropriation transfer to the Downtown Development Fund to fund the purchase of sidewalk planters.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 8-0. Council comments, we have none.
Nope,
Do
Mr.
we-
President, I didn't.
Mr. Jensen.
I would just like to personally thank Mr. Taylor and the tree board as the representative that represents District 2. Hazeldale Parkway was long overdue, in my opinion, for a little sprucing up, and it's nice to see the trees lining there. I know that was a big investment from the city side, and I just appreciate the beautification efforts along a major corridor in our community. I know the residents of District 2 appreciate it as well, so thank you. And
Thank you. I might add also that hopefully next year we'll be going from 32 on Little Chicago to 38 and doing the same thing.
Any other council comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. We are adjourned.